to the third installment of the Wolf Saga. Tonight, we will tell the tale of the unknown scent that the pack have come across. The scent one of their own, nor is it human, nor is it that you have your everyday. Could the scent be some unknown force, or could it be something otherworldly? Tonight we will follow along with the pack to see what the scent is. Hello, David. Hey, Hoot. How are you both? I'm glad to see y'all. I can't complain, David. It's hot. I'll give it a few more minutes, before, so more people can come in before I officially get started. I've been better, Hoot, but I'll be okay. Just trying not to melt down here in the south. It's probably the fan, David. Or it could be aliens. Who knows? We have four in chat. We went back to three. Um, Welcome everybody. You might hear. I don't. I don't think you'll be able to hear them watching the movie in the living room because they don't have the surround sound on. Oh no, who was there any damage? Hey Keith. Yeah, the devil one is for my evil fairy. Well, I'm thinking about doing something different. Oh no, who? I'm glad your place is good though. That nothing happened with yours. But I hate to hear that about your neighbors. Go for it, David. I know there's a couple of other people live, so Mad Shad's live as well as Deepwood Studio. And my pickles turned out a little bit mushy. But that's okay. We're going to get stuff and do some more again, so. Okay, Keith, I understand. That's what I'm hoping for, Hoot. They went ahead and opened up a jar earlier today when after Heather fixed dinner. Hoot, you might know, can you make bone broth from turkey bones? Awesome. I think I'll do that. I'll take and put the bones. Yeah, yeah. I'll do that. But okay, are y'all ready for this next installment? Although it's understandable, Keith. Absolutely. Spend all the time you can with them and enjoy it. David. Teach a lot of people save the turkey carcass and make broth. Absolutely. Because I know back when we used to have Thanksgiving at my parents' and all my family would come, I have a cousin-in-law that does not like chicken. So instead of making chicken and dumplings, my stepmom made turkey and dumplings.
I bet that was delish.
It is.
Bet it was.
So I'm going to take the turkey bone and make some bone broth and use it instead of chicken broth. David is Mr. Fluff, absolutely. That he is. I knew what you meant.
God, you stink.
Hoops always lit.
Come here.
And I ain't gonna lie, I paid tribute to Keith. I had a gummy, so
Don't let nobody get my spot, mate. You better get them out of it.
it was a CBD gummy. But hey,
You CBD got me what?
it was. But okay, guys,
You just keep eating on one.
here we go. As both packs decide to give up the search for the night, I'm sorry, I read David's message. Yeah, Keith. Absolutely, David. Absolutely. You're welcome, Keith.
You gonna find out quick. First face. Quit talking about my face. Who's baby are you?
Hey, Rip Curl, how are you, hon? Good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a while. I'm glad to see you, though. Absolutely, Keith. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, or a month from now, but eventually we all will.
Come out.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad you are. I'm doing all right. You're cooking awesome. We had turkey breast and mashed potatoes and gravy and macaroni and cheese. But okay, guys, I'm gonna have to stop reading chat so I can get this live through. Y'all know I love y'all. Oh, it was Rip. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one thing this house does not lack is a good cook. Okay. So finally the pack call off the search for the night, leaving both the elder pack, a couple of their members, and a couple of members from the younger pack on patrol. All four of the alphas, the two new ones and the two older ones, meet together at Jacob's house. Of course, with the none of them having ever smelled the scent that they found within the woods around the res, they were all on edge. Though Letty remembered from when they lived in Alaska that she had smelt the scent while they were in Alaska, but she had never found the source of the scent. Sharing this with her dad, with Sam, and with Andrew, they all sat back trying to figure out how something Letty had smelt in Alaska could be found there on the reservation.
Yeah, Papa has got to have it under my main sandwich.
Of course, when Letty was in Alaska, there was only a handful of people there with her. Her family on her mom's side, her father, Leah, and Leah's daughter, Michonne. Of course, all except for her mother is back on the reservation. Her mother's family is in the nearby town of Fort. But all present know her mom's scent, so it wasn't her mother. Finally calling it a night, everyone makes to their houses, for rest. Letty, of course, being Letty, she shifts and heads back out into the forest. Once again, she finds the trail of the scent and follows it for as far as she can. She follows the scent through Fort and onto the other side of Fort. She still doesn't see anything, and she still can't recognize the scent. What's your question, Keith? I'm just that talented, be strong. But I read all the time, so as the day breaks and the sun slowly starts to rise, exhausted, Letty makes her way back home. As she slowly walks out of the woods into the backyard, she sees Andrew waiting on her. Taking a seat beside her imprint, she sighs. Andrew looks at her and says, "You were out looking, weren't you? You were out there all night." Letty does not deny it. She tells him, of course, that she did not want to leave the others out there unprotected. If there was a way that she could protect them, that she would, no matter what. With a yawn, Letty asked Andrew if he was hungry, that she would make breakfast. Being the female alpha, not only does she have the responsibilities of leading the pack, she is also the pack mother, the den mother. Therefore, she cooks for the pack. She takes care of them as though they were her own children, much like her imprince mother did and still does. Heading inside, she hits the on button on the coffee maker, takes the eggs out the refrigerator, grabs the bread off the counter as Andrew takes out the eggs, the butter, sausage, bacon, and ham from the refrigerator. As they both set about together cooking, members of their pack begin to come in, handing off patrols. Those that come in from the night patrol, of course, is exhausted. While Letty and Andrew are cooking, the two can't help but smile and laugh at the jokes of the younger pack members. The roughhousing, horseplaying, and just all out jokes on each other make them both smile. Slowly, they are coming to realize what kind of life they are about to start leading. The full realization of their duties, rest. Can y'all still hear me? All right, how about now? Can you hear me now, David? Thank you, Hope. Though Letty has the advantage of having alpha blood running through her veins, Andrew does not have that advantage. His father was not a born alpha. His father had took up the alpha ship when he was the first of his generation to shift. The Yulees, which is Andrew's family, by bloodline, have always been the betas. With the last pack before Sam's generation, Levi Yulee, which is Sam's grandfather, was beta of his pack. But of course, when you have no choice
you always step up to the plate, right? It's all good, Hope. It's all good. With the food cooked, everyone gathers around the table. Andrew taking the head of the table, and Letty taking the seat directly across the table on the long end from Andrew. The long table is surrounded by their pack, of course, being wolves, at least partly. The pack dug in to the food. We're at this time, Keith. I haven't really paid attention today. I was getting ready for this live. Yeah, I've got to find my evil fairy picture so I can use it. As Letty watches the pack members quickly putting away the food into their stomachs, she can't help but smile. The camaraderie with her brothers and sisters within the pack swells in her heart. Oh wow, Keith. That's yeah. Once again, Letty thinks to herself that she will do anything within her power to keep not only her pack members, her father, and Sam's pack members, as well as the people of the reservation safe, even if it means giving her own life for their own. Though Letty is a shifter, that is not her own, all of her own powers. Letty is also half vampire. Not quite half. She is what is called a triver. She is human, vampire, and wolf, which makes for a very unique combination. It also makes her stronger than those in her charge. And there are only two others that hold the same blood that she does. The twins, Asher and Allie. With this thought, she turns to her left and she sees her brother sitting by her side, smiling and joking around with Tivon. Tivon is the son of Embry Kyle, her father's best friend, a boy that they have known their whole lives, even though in actuality he is older than Letty and her siblings. You could not tell that by looking at them. In actuality, Letty is 8 years old, though she looks 18. Asher, though in actuality he is 7 years old, he also looks 18. With their unique bloodlines flowing through their veins, it has given them the ability to age quicker than a human would. In one respect, they are lucky with that. They are able to be strong, to be independent, to protect those within their care. Yet, in another aspect, they did not have the childhood that should have been afforded to a child. Yet, Letty doesn't consider herself at a disadvantage. She has enjoyed her life, even when they were in Alaska, and even more so since they come back to the reservation that their bloodline has always called home. Absolutely, Hope. Many times, Letty and her siblings have had the conversation of what life could have been. And all three have always agreed that they would not have changed their life for anything. Whereas Letty took up the slack when her mother left their small family. She took over the cooking, the caring for her younger siblings, for her father, Jacob. She does not begrudge that, though Letty hates her mother for leaving. She does understand to a certain extent, though a child, until they actually lose a parent, cannot put themselves in one's shoes that has lost a parent. You see, Letty, Ash, and Allie was never meant to be. It was never meant for a wolf to imprint on a half human, half vampire child. Yet, alas, the ancestors had allowed this to happen. Thus, producing the three children. The powerful so-called royal vampires had received word of the unique pairing, of the forbidden pairing of a wolf vampire hybrid. That royal group had come and tried to destroy the vampire family, the elder wolf pack, all in an attempt to try to end Letty and her siblings' lives. Because to the royal vampires, they were an abomination. What the vampires did not foresee was their own turning against them. Not only was it Letty's family, both the vampire side and the wolf side fighting against the royal vampires. It was the royal vampire's own guard. It was one of the royal king's own hybrid daughter that had helped set this up. She and her bonded mate had turned on the three kings. Her own mate's twin sister stood by their side. After the war, Ara, Marcus, Caius, Felix, Chelsea, Afton, Edward, Rosalie, and Emma, as well as Seth and Brady, had all lost their lives. For years, Letty has felt as though if she and her siblings had never been born, this war would not have happened. They would not have suffered the losses that they have lost. Yet, what's done is done. Though Jake and his in-laws have always assured Letty and her siblings that this was not their fault. That for years previously, the royal vampires, known as the Volturi, had come time and time again against the Cullens. It was at that time that it was time for them, the Cullens, to take a stand. Of course, the Cullens, for the most part, had their very own special, unique powers. Emmett had been very blessed with the strength. Edward, who is Letty and Ash and Allie's grandfather, had the unique ability to read minds. Alice is a clairvoyant. She is able to see things that will happen. And then there's Jasper. Jasper has the ability to sense and manipulate others' emotions, whether it be a vampire or whether it be a human or whether it be a shifter. With unique abilities so closely bonded together beneath the banner of a family is unique in itself. Most vampires do not form families. They do not form a coven. However, the Cullens are unique. They do not drink the blood of humans. They drink the blood of animals. For a long time, it's been a running joke in the family that they are vegetarian vampires. Of course, that makes them unique. The animal blood allows them the ability to fight off bloodlust for the most part. The Cullen family had welcomed Bella Swan into their family when Edward had found his life mate. Bella had been 17 at the time when she met Edward in high school. For 120 years, Edward had walked the face of the earth, never given in to the cause of a man. Hi, welcome, WV. How are you? It's good to see you. Hope you have a blessed day. And I understand about the cell service. I'm glad to see you and thank you for coming by. The pull of a life mate for a vampire is when the vampire smells a human's blood. There's what is known as their singer or their life mate. Their blood smells very unique to them. It sings to them, pulling them in, oftentimes forcing the vampire to accidentally kill their life mate. Edward had had that feeling when he first met Bella. And for a time, he had left Forks. He had left so he would not accidentally kill Bella. Though he lusted for her blood, he did not want to see Bella die. Neither did he want to turn Bella into what he was. Edward considered himself a monster, and he would never want that for someone that he knew he would come to love and to care about. I'm well, WV. Thank you very much for asking. I hope you're well also. But of course, Edward went back to Forks. His plan had to be stay as far away from Bella as he could. But with such a small population as Forks had, how could he stay away from her? His family was well known throughout the town as being strange because of the way that, though they were interwoven within the humans in Forks, they were also considered standoffish. Though Carlisle, the patriarch of the Cullen clan, is a very well-known doctor, often sought out for his skills of doctoring. And he is also very well loved. Carlisle has the unique ability to put one at rest. Out of the Cullen family, Carlisle is the only one that has never killed a human being. Carlisle has the ability to restrain himself from bloodlust. For a time, he had been with the royal family called the Volturi. He had served along the side of the three kings that eventually killed the man that he thought of as his son. Carlisle had been the first in the Cullen clan. After coming to the United States, Carlisle had finally been able to make it through college to become a doctor. In 1920, he turned Edward when Edward was suffering from the Spanish influenza. Edward had lost both of his parents to the Spanish flu. His mother's last spoken whispers to Carlisle had been begging for Carlisle to turn her son to save his life. Though she hadn't been sure, she had felt that Carlisle was different, that he was unique. Shortly after Edward's mother's passing, he had rolled Edward's bed down to the morgue, though Edward was still breathing, barely hanging on to life, suffering through this terrible epidemic. And there, surrounded by bodies, Carlisle had turned to Edward. Soon after, Carlisle had turned to SMA, who became his life mate. Together, Carlisle, SMA, and Edward had come across Rosalie. They had come across her scent. Neither SMA nor Edward thinking much about it. They had gone on about their way. Carlisle had come across Rosalie as she was bleeding. She had been attacked. She was attacked by her fiance and his so-called friends. They had raped her. They had used her body so roughly that it left her bleeding out. They left her for dead on the sidewalk. With compassion in his heart, Carlisle had turned the girl, hoping for a mate for Edward. For Carlisle wished for nothing more than Edward to find the love that he had found with SMA. But alas, not all things work as planned. Rosalie was not Edward's life mate. 5 years after the turning of Rosalie, Rosalie had been out hunting when she stumbled across Emmett. Emmett was fighting, though human, was fighting with a grizzly bear. The grizzly bear had attacked Emmett and mauled him. Luckily, Rosalie was there to save him. After killing the grizzly bear, Rosalie had taken Emmett back to their home base. She begged Carlisle to change Emmett. As she uttered the words, "He is my life mate. He is my singer," Carlisle had finally given in to Rosalie's plea. Carlisle turned Emmett. Emmett was welcomed into the Cullen clan. The story of Alice and Jasper is quite different from the stories of the other Cullen members. Alice doesn't have much of a memory of before she came to live with the Cullens. She remembers waking up in an insane asylum. She remembers being very, very thirsty. For a few years, yeah, Emmett's a vampire. For years, Alice traveled by herself. Often she would have flashes of things to come to pass. Long before she ever met Jasper, She had seen him in her visions. She had known that he would be her life mate. She knew that they would live a long, happy life together, but not only just as a pair, but with a family. And not just any family, the Cullens. One afternoon, Alice was sitting in a diner when Jasper came across her. Jasper had served as the youngest general in the Civil War. Jasper had grown up in Galveston, Texas. He was just returning back to his cavalry after leading women and children to safety. He happened across 3 women. Of course, he jumped down off his U2 WV. Have a good week. It was good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Of course, Jasper jumped down off his horse, coming upon the 3 women. The 3 women were whispering to each other, though Jasper was close enough he could hear. One of the women told what was very apparent, the leader, that she would have to turn him, that she could not do it herself because she would not be able to restrain herself. She would kill him. Maria had known that there was something unique about the soldier standing before her. She could sense it. And in her longing to gather an army of vampires unto herself, she turned Jasper. Jasper became a general for her army, but not only her general, her lover as well. Maria forced Jasper, as well as others, to track down and turn as many humans as they could. It was what became known as a newborn army. The newborn army's purpose was to fight against other vampire groups for their land. Maria wanted to be known as the top dog in the South. She was determined to overtake every piece of land that she could possess. A newborn vampire is not like a newborn baby. A newborn vampire is very, very strong because they still have their human blood flowing through their bodies. And they only remain strong for 6 months. After the 6 months, the strength drains. So after the 6 months, Maria would force Jasper to destroy those that were turned. They only got to live the vampire life for 6 months. Being an empath, this of course destroyed Jasper. He could not only hear their pain, he could see it, he could feel it. And he quickly had grown tired of feeling the weight of killing these beings. Finally, Jasper made his way away from Maria, and that is when he came across Alice. Of course, Alice had seen all this. She knew of Jasper's past, yet the two bonded. They become bonded mates or life mates. Finally, the two met up with the Cullen clan. They were quickly accepted, though, of course, with Alice's unique ability. She knew all this. She knew that they would be accepted into the Cullen family. When they came across Bella, Alice had already foresaw Bella's coming to Forks to live with her father, the police chief. Alice knew that Bella would become Edward's life mate. Alice had never really been allowed to have friends, being a vampire. But she had quickly embraced the thought of Bella becoming part of their family. She had welcomed Bella with open arms. Jasper, of course, still struggled with bloodlust. Therefore, Jasper tried not to be around Bella very much. But alas, they were inevitable run-ins. Times when clumsy Bella would accidentally cut herself. But alas, they overcome it. Y'all killing me, guys. Y'all killing me. With the addition of Bella to the family, after she married Edward, shortly thereafter, their daughter Vanessa May was born. With Bella being human, Edward and Bella were able to conceive a child, half vampire, half human. She was a hybrid. It took everything that Bella had to be able to carry Vanessa May. Vanessa May had drained her body of the needed nutrients As Renesmee had grown, she had accidentally broken Bella's bones, her ribs, her spine. The night that Renesmee had broken Bella's spine is the night that Renesmee was born. Ultimately, that had signed the death warrant of Bella. After Edward was able to deliver Renesmee, he quickly turned to his mind to turn Bella into giving her what she had wanted, which was to become, as he is, a vampire. Alas, Jacob, who had always been Bella's best friend since she moved back to Forks, Jacob was determined. Jacob was determined to kill this child that had killed his best friend. Rosalie, who had never had a child of her own, was holding Renesmee down in the living room. She was feeding her and changing her and cleaning her up from the birth. As Jacob had come in the door and took one look into Renesmee's eyes, he had dropped to his knees. Jacob had imprinted on this infant child. As he had stared into Renesmee's eyes, he had saw the life that they were set to live flash through his mind. Yet, alas, not everything works as we all foresee it. Jacob had remained at Renesmee's side as she had grown. Renesmee did not grow as a human child. When Renesmee had reached the age of 7 human years, she had been fully grown. Renesmee and Jacob had gotten married when Renesmee turned 8 human years old. Soon after, they had given birth first to Letitia, or Letty as we all know her. Letty had always been by her mother's side from birth. Her mother was her best friend. Letty told her mother everything. It didn't matter what. So a year after Letty had been born, the twins came along. First Asher, and then Allie. Both were bundles of joy. All 3 kids were accepted into not only the wolf pack, which was Jacob's at the time, which consisted of 2 wolves, which was Leah and her brother Seth. The 3 were taken care of between their parents, Jake and Vanessa May, the Cullen clan, and the Wolfpack. All three were loved for who they were. They were loved for the love between their parents. They also had spent most of their life in Alaska with the Denali Coven.
This bread, this bone.
Sorry, I got distracted. But they did grow up mostly in Alaska with the Denali Coven. The Denalis are another coven of vampires who also refrain from drinking human blood. But alas, when Alice had the vision of the Volturi coming after the three kids, they have returned to the reservation and to Forks. They know that is there room in the refrigerator to save it? They knew that ultimately just the Cullen family and Jake's pack would not be able to fight the Volturi. The Denali Coven followed them back to Forks. Jake rallied the forces with the other pack on the reservation. And of course, the other pack agreed. Hey, Tiger, you good? And of course, the other pack agreed because ultimately this fight was over Jacob's kids. Together, both packs, the Cullens, the Denalis, as well as other friends that the Cullens could bring in, all fought against the Volturi. The lives lost weighed on the survivor's mind. Yet still, they still survived. Renesmee had left because of her father's death. She had traveled down to the Amazon in South America, where a group of 3 women formed a small vampire coven. They were known as the Amazons. And of course, like most folklore, they did look like the foretold Amazonian women. And being in the Amazon, Renesmee had rekindled a friendship with another vampire hybrid, a man named Nahal. Nahal was the longest surviving vampire hybrid known to the vampire world. Within a year, their friendship became more than just friendship. Renessa May crossed the line, cheating on her husband, Jacob. Nicole and Renessa May have a daughter. Of course, this daughter is more unique than they are, with having more human blood in her than vampire blood. She grows more slowly than her parents did. Though she does have some vampire traits, they are weaker than most. Alas, Renessa May, missing her older children, decides she wants to go back to La Push. Nahul forbids it. He's scared of losing Renessa May. He had drew up divorce papers and sent them for Renessa May to Jacob. Hey, Mad Shad, how you doing, bro? Good to see you. Absolutely, Mad Shad. They were still waiting on the divorce papers to be sent back to be finalized. With Nahul forbidding Renessa May to return to the reservation in La Push, back to her family. He had grown overbearing with it. Renessa May was not allowed to go anywhere alone. Renessa May went along with it, allowing Nahul to believe that she had changed her mind. And finally, one day, Renessa May was able to take her youngest daughter and leave. Taking Cassandra, Renessa May made it to the airport and flew back home to Washington. Instead of going straight to the Cullens' home, she went to the home that she had once shared with Jacob and their children. To say that Jake was shocked when he opened his door and his wife, an imprint, stood before him with a child on her hip would be an understatement. Though Jake had moved on, no one had known. Jacob had turned to his best friend, his beta, Leah. He had found solace in Leah's arms. Though Leah was not his imprint, he loved her as much as he could. just the night before Leah had told Jacob that she was pregnant with his children. Yet, just another set of twins. Jacob and Leah had kept their relationship a secret. Not even their children knew about it. Leah's mother, Sue, did not know about it. Not even their closest friends had known about it. Would the two be best friends? No one had ever thought about Jacob and Leah, being together for long periods of time. They never considered the fact that an alpha wolf could find love in another's arms. Someone's arms that wasn't his imprint. Jacob invited Renesmee back into their home. The imprint would not allow him to do anything less. Though he was shocked, he was still pissed that his wife had left him alone to raise their 3 children, to force Letitia to take over her mother's place, to be the cook, the housekeeper, keeping the children, other children, safe and fed. Of course, the exchange was very heated. Jacob had known about Renesmee's relationship with Nahal. He had known that she had another child with Nahal. An imprint's bond is something so deeply unique that unless you have that bond with someone, you would not understand it. Not only do you feel their emotions, their pain, you can also feel if they betray you. And Jacob had suffered through that. Yet, Jacob told Renesmee that she and her daughter, Cassandra, could stay in their house on the res. The only of his children that remained at home was Allie. Letty was living in her own house with her imprint, Andrew. Asher was living in his own house with his imprint, Aurora. Renesmee had asked where their children was. And Jacob told her. And Jacob told her, I do not forgive you. The imprint will not allow me to turn you out on the street or to mistreat you. But it'll be a long time before I can ever forgive you for what you have done. Not just to me, but to our children as well. Ultimately, the next day, Lady had come to her dad's house. She had heard rumors that her mother was back, but Lady believed that Renesmee was in Forks.
Bubba, come here a minute. If you're not in trouble, come here.
She didn't 1 second think that her mother would be at her father's house.
No, you weren't the one that did it. Lucy did it. Come here. Okay, well, come here. You're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. I want to say sorry.
Lord help.
All right.
When Letty walked in, she saw her parents sitting at the table.
Come here, my love.
And it took everything in her willpower not to run back out the open door. As she turned to walk out the door, her father stopped her. He begged for her to come sit down and have a civil conversation with them. Of course, Letty being Letty, she wasn't going to allow that to happen. Her hatred for her mother runs strong through her veins. That is, until she's seen the child sitting in her mother's lap. Taking a look at Cassandra, she saw her mother's features within the child. The curly hair piled atop Cassandra's head looked much like her mother's did. Much like her grandfather's did. And looking into Cassandra's face, she also seen the features of her grandmother Bella.
No, I'm serious. I have to never stuff this back there. It has to be reborn.
Letty had known without a doubt that though she blamed her mother for their broken family, she would never be able to blame an innocent child. Letty walked over to the bar. Her mother hadn't said a word to her. And Jacob looked at her and said, "Aren't you going to tell your mother hello?" Letty looked at him and unleashed. "Dad, how the fuck can you let that bitch back into your home? She left us. She left you. And yet here y'all are sitting here eating breakfast like nothing ever happened. How can you betray us that way?"
Ugly. He's the one.
Jake looked at Letty and said, "You have an imprint of your own. You know how the imprint works. If it was Andrew, could you turn Andrew away? Could you really turn him away?" Without a blink, Letty looked at her father and said, "Absolutely. I would and I could." Renesmee looked at Letty with fear in her face. And she started to say, "I'm sorry, Letty." Letty looked at her and said, "Do not speak to me. Do not let my name come out of your mouth. You do not have that right. You are not my mother. You are nothing. You're dead to me. You have been for years and you will continue to be."
Give me the cup, man. I'll drink it. No, you ain't. No, you're not.
How could a mother walk away from her family, away from her children, not call, not write,
Oh, I'm sorry, baby. I'm putting it on.
not FaceTime,
Oh, stop.
or anything else. Just leave them.
Here. Here, cry, baby.
You are not a mother. And honestly, I feel sorry for that child sitting in your lap, though I do not blame her. Where's her father? Probably just another life you have ruined, just like you've ruined mine. Without another word, Letty turns and silently walks out of the house, turning her back on her mother and on her father. With the words that had been said between everyone back at her father's running through her mind, Letty shifts into wolf form and takes off into the forest. She instantly shuts her mind link down to the pack
Stay. From Sherry.
and to Andrew. She doesn't want anyone to hear her thoughts or feel what she's feeling. But the thing is, when she shifted, it wasn't the same as the first shift. It wasn't the same as the last shift that she had just shifted the day before. Something was different with her body. Feeling the pain, Letty is unable to keep her mind blocked as the walls that she threw up for the mind link crumble. Not only does her pack feel her pain, but so does her imprint. Instantly, Andrew turns from his pack duties. He had been running morning patrol with the pack. He comes to Letty's side. He urges her to shift back. As Letty shifts back to her human form, Andrew picks her up and takes her home. Carrying her upstairs, he lays her in their bed. He said, I'm going to call your grandpa. I'm going to call Carlisle. We need to find out what's going on. Letty holds out her hand and tells him no. Just give her a few minutes and she will be okay. As the two settle onto the bed, they're laying there in silence. Andrew starts to tilt his head, listening. Letty watches him with a curious brow raised. What are you hearing? Slowly, Andrew lowers his ear to Letty's stomach. Within her stomach, he hears two faint heartbeats. With hearing the heartbeats, both realize that Letty is pregnant. With Letty being a unique shifter, not fully just a shifter, but part vampire as well. No one had ever thought that with her being shifting, that she would be able to conceive a child, much less two. With that thought in mind, Andrew insists on taking Letty to see Great Grandpa Carlisle. We'll continue with the rest maybe next Sunday. I hope y'all enjoyed tonight. I've enjoyed seeing everybody in here. Wow, I went long tonight, an hour and 36 minutes. But I've enjoyed seeing you guys. Y'all know I love y'all. Awesome, Tiger. Me too, David. Mad Shad, she will have twins, and they will be more shifter than they will vampire or human. Absolutely, Mad Shad. I'm glad you came by. But we'll aim for next Sunday night at 8 o'clock. I love you guys, and I will see y'all tomorrow over on Peach.